Movie theaters are showing signs of renewed energy this summer, with audiences seemingly returning to the big screen. Korean films are also making waves at major international film festivals. And with a number of highly anticipated Korean films set to hit theaters in September, the fall movie season is shaping up to be an exciting one. So today, we'll discuss the latest developments in K-cinema with filmmaker and Professor Jae Soh at Seoul Institute of the Arts. So welcome back, Professor Soh.
Hello, Professor.
Nice to be back.
All right, let's first talk about a recent great issue in the world of K-films. Director Hong Sang-soo won big at the Locarno Film Festival. So first off, which awards did this movie receive? And also, what does this recognition mean for Korea?
So the movie is called Nowhere to Lay My Eyes, and this is, I think it's 26th or 25th movie, and it won the Independent Ecumenical Jury Prize, which isn't the best one. He actually won that with another movie he made in 2015. It's the Leopard Award, which is the best one. But what's kind of interesting in this festival is that they gave him the Best Director Award for the movie, and then the star of the movie, Kim Min-hee, she won the Best Actress Award. So Locarno's sort of like a favorite of Hong Sang-soo's sort of like films, and it's really featured his movies throughout. And this movie is about Kim Min-hee, who plays a daughter of a mother she had not sort of seen in about 10 years. So she goes to the Jeju Island to meet her, and he goes with a younger brother. And basically a typical type of Hong Sang-soo movie where it looks very ordinary, but then all these family truths come out, lots of drinking, eating scenes, and beautiful Jeju in the background. So I think, definitely it caught the sort of the eye of sort of the Locarno Festival people and also the audiences in Europe as well. Yeah.
So 3 awards for this one movie, and Ecumenical Award, that might be a little unfamiliar to some. Could you just briefly?
Yeah, it's basically about sort of, it's a kind of very prestigious award about sort of humanity, also kind of showing you basically how humans should act in a very truthful manner. So it has kind of a symbolic, I would say it's not the top prize of the festival, but it's kind of featured award that they give out to sort of like a very prestigious movie.
Interesting.
And let's talk about another film festival, in fact, the Toronto International Film Festival, where 6 Korean films are actually being invited to. These include works from Lee Chang-dong, just as I go down the list, Hur Jin-ho, Yeon Sang-ho as well. It seems that Korean cinema is making a particular strong showing, like in the international film circuit this year. We've reported on it quite a lot and talked about it with you. How do you see this trend?
I think it's, it's always happened. Like, the festivals have been showing a lot of Asian cinema, especially Korean cinema, all up to now. But now Korean cinema is a major force that, a whole bunch, like 6 films from one country. That's pretty great. So we have Assassins by Hur Jin-ho, as you mentioned. We have Possible Love by Lee Chang-dong, a great director. We also have Yeon Sang-ho's new film called Paradise Lost, and Hope, which is playing right now. And then 2 other films, Long Long Night and The World Before. So it's a big lineup. And as you know, Hur Jin-ho's film is a historical sort of drama, political mystery that they kind of based it on historical facts. So the fact that these movies are sort of centerpiece, and I think the Assassins is playing at the prestigious gala presentation at Toronto. And actually, I had the pleasure of going to Toronto with director Hur Jin-ho before for another movie. I went with a movie, the director of Nowhere to Hide, Lee Sang-ho. So I followed them there, and Toronto is a major film festival where the whole city sort of opens up to movies for like a 2-week period. And the 2 directors, I was there in attendance as an audience member, but it was like the sold out crowds. And they really love their movies in Canada. So, Toronto Film Festival is definitely, in North America, one of the biggest film festivals. So it's a real big privilege and an honor to be invited to this festival, for sure.
Wow, I can imagine. And I'm especially excited about Long Long Night or Kin Kin Bam, because I read the novel and I was very pleasantly surprised to, that this is going to come out as a movie. So looking forward to that as well. And Professor Soh, we've also seen many Korean films actually gaining attention before their releases in Korea. So why do you think international film festivals and viewers are looking forward to K-movies these days?
Well, as I mentioned, the rise of Korean cinema now, it's at its, I think, almost at its apex point. But first of all, the directors, you have Park Chan-wook, Bong Joon-ho, Lee Chang-dong, Hong Sang-soo, and then younger directors like Na Hong-jin that are coming up. So you have a world recognition of these sort of like directors that have a brand of movies that they create, and also now actors are the major stars that I think they're invited to Academy Awards or major award ceremonies all over the world. So actors like Song Kang-ho, Lee Byung-hun, Chun Do-yeon, these are like major stars that have they're invited to juries, they're invited as guests to present awards, things like that. So that's another thing, and I think also the fact that K-pop and K-drama has really sort of become global. And now film festivals, it's almost like you cannot have a festival without featuring a Korean movie star in it or a Korean movie. So it's become part of the course. And a lot of festivals now sort of like they wait for the next big film to come out from Korea. And that's, I think, a really good sign.
So for now, it's more about the big names, the directors and the actors, than a specific genre, you would say, right?
I think the genres are very varied for Korean cinema, and also I think the big thing that I didn't mention was maybe the psychology of the audiences themselves. Now, they are so used to watching it on Netflix, a lot of Korean dramas. So for them, it's like if you have a new film from Park Chan-wook or Bong Joon-ho, they're definitely going to wait to see it. And a lot of venues now show it at festivals before it shows in the movie theaters. So people, are just waiting for the next film to come out from Korea, for sure.
Well, let's bring it back to Korea. And September actually looks like a good month because there are a lot of highly anticipated Korean films set to release. For you personally, are there any standouts that you're looking forward to?
Oh, yeah. I want to mention this movie called Pigwang, which is called Portrait of a Lady. And this is coming out in September 2nd, and it's directed by Lee Ji-won. And this movie has Ryu Seung-yong and Ha Ji-won and Kim Si-ah. And basically, it's a sort of a story about a family a celebrity family where suddenly the appearance of a sort of a long-lost child, a daughter, comes to sort of like bring the family together. So they call it like a mystery family drama, which I think is kind of a new thing. But I think the actors, Ryu Seung-yong and Ha Ji-won, are definitely really good acting duo. So I think having those two come out in this movie, so I'm really looking forward to that. And then, as I mentioned before, there's a movie called Possible Love by Lee Chang-dong, which is coming out. And this is 8 years since Burning. So he's another great director. I always show it in my film class in the summers, his movie Peppermint Candy. It's like a required viewing for that class. But so we're really looking forward to this movie. And this one has basically a lot of actors in it that we know. Chun Do-yeon's in it. Basically Seol Kyung-gu, Chun Do-yeon, Jo In-sung. And basically this is another movie about sort of a couple. Two couples, one couple is now sort of unemployed, the other one's the documentary filmmaker, and then all the sort of like the drama that comes from an Lee Chang-dong movie. So I'm really looking forward to this movie, which comes out on September 23rd. And then going more the commercial route is Tacha, the song of Beelzebub, which is like the devil. Basically, this is like in I think the fourth and maybe the final installment in the Tacha series, which started in 2006. And Choi Dong-won's the director that originally started it, and we have a different director, Choi Gu-ki, who directed Life is Beautiful in it. And this one has Byung-yeon, No Jae-won, also Ayaka Miyoshi, who's a very famous Japanese actress. And the world of Tacha is about gambling, and in this one, it's like a kind of an international, global sort of situation where there's a lot of people sort of doing double deals and things like that. So that's a series that everybody's looking forward to. And then I think the fourth film I want to introduce is a movie called The Reawakened Man, The Red, which stars Kyu Gyo-won, who's like sort of an up-and-coming star right now and a graduate of my film program at Seoul Institute of the Arts. And this one is about it's based on a webtoon. And basically, it's the most youth-oriented commercial film in this batch. But it's about sort of like a movie about somebody who dies. 72 hours later, he awakens again. So it kind of repeats like that. So it's another kind of movie about death and life. And Kyu Gyo-won's a very, I would say, an attractive actor for doing this kind of role. So I'm looking forward to these films coming out very soon.
Wow, we got a mixture of so many different genres, and I think it's perfect to watch some of those during the Chuseok holidays, especially with a family, especially with one of the genres being a family, mystery family, and then also having a couple stories there as well. So, do you think having these several Korean films coming out at the same time could actually bring some more energy in the overall theater arena?
Yeah, I think definitely, Chuseok's a big movie sort of thing. It's when families get together and they have their dinners and then they go out to the movies. And I didn't really mention this one movie that I should have mentioned before. There's a remake of the movie Intern.
Ah, right.
Yeah, and so
with Han So-hee and
Han So-hee and Choi Min-sik. So it's sort of like the same story with Anne Hathaway and Robert De Niro about sort of a young entrepreneur who has an older intern that comes in. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. But going back to your question about Chuseok, yeah, this could be good and it could be also bad. There's been instances in 2023 where all these big movies came out and then none of them did well. So we call it the chicken game, where you have too many movies happening all at once, and instead of becoming a synergy of movies that people want to go see, it could kind of compete with each other, and then the audience gets split between the movies. But I think the marketing this time is a little different for all these movies, and the genre is so different that I don't think, maybe you will go see an Lee Chang-dong movie, Possible Love, and then suddenly go, oh, Tacha's playing, maybe I'll watch that for the second run, things like that. So hopefully we'll have more people sort of flock to the theaters and they see all these different types of movies. And as you know, like Koreans love, like basically a buffet type of meal. So they go there and, oh, I watched the horror movie, and maybe I can watch a comedy next. So hopefully that will happen instead of all this kind of cannibalizing each other and the films competing with each other, for sure.
Right. I do hope that we don't actually, redo the 2023 situation. But for me, especially this year as the entertainment reporter, like we've been talking quite extensively about a lot of films that have come out and through the seasons, I mean, starting from spring through to summer, and now fall is coming up. With this, fall amount of movies coming out, do you think this is actually a real test whether Korean cinema is on a way, to maybe a full recovery or at least a better recovery?
Well, this year, looking at the stats, already before the slate of movies I just mentioned, we were down to like almost 90% of the movie-going audiences returned to the theaters from, I think 2 years ago. So that's a good sign. But at the same time, that's not enough, for it to happen. I'm hoping that, September, maybe October and November, all these movie lineups that are coming out is starting to do it. But as you know, we had the two big movies, Spider-Man and Odyssey come out. And so if you look, Korean movies kind of avoided all of August to get away from that. But at the same time, I think, both those movies drew big audiences to theaters. So it's a good sign. Like, people keep coming. They see that it's fun to watch a movie in front of a lot of people. And I'm really looking forward to, as I mentioned, the auteur power of these directors that already made really good movies, and also the star power to sort of like get people back into watching movies on a big screen. We've had this big problem since the pandemic where people rather see it at home. But I think, movies like in America, like, Obsession or The Backrooms are starting to really get younger audience, the MZ generation, also younger generations, to come in, because now social media, there's a lot of like excitement about going to see a movie and then posting sort of your reaction to it. So I think, these movies that are coming out, it's a good sign that there are many different types of movies in Korean cinema. As I mentioned, we have some serious movies, we have like a commercial movie, we have a youth movie, things like that. So again, hopefully the audiences will partake in this, and we'll have sort of return to what Korean cinema was basically before the pandemic. But I think it's a healthy sign, really looking forward to, the slate of movies coming up. And hopefully people will really love it. Yeah.
Let's hope so. And thank you very much, Professor Soh, for your insights as always, and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
And thank you, Walter, as always. We're going to have you back here next week.
See you next week.